What's up, everybody? This is Gray here, and welcome to the Sunday Shift Report. The crap has hit the fan. So today we got several different things we're going to go into, of course. We got the situation out there in Colorado. We got some some other issues with the pipeline. The one you guys might not be familiar with, another Canadian pipeline. What else do we got? We got Corn Pop making all kinds of gaffes. We got Trudeau's rip by the EU. We got some statements by Zelensky. Man, we got some polls from the Brits in regards to what's important to them, and various things like that we're going to touch on. Anyways, folks, again, thank you all for being here. I truly appreciate you guys joining me on these premieres on Sunday, usually every day at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, if time allows. I don't even have my watch on. I'm looking down at my wrist here. But hopefully we try to get it out there by 6 p.m. every Sunday. And like I said, this is if you guys are looking for any of the articles that I'm looking for, they'll be down in the description below. I usually put most of them down there. If you can't find one, just feel free to email me at any time. And if you find any value in my content or any of the videos that I do, even outside of the Sunday Shift Report, please hit that thumbs up. It's truly appreciated. Other than that, let's start off with the what do they call it? The cat in the room or something like that? I don't know, some old saying. The cat's out the bag. There we go. That's probably a better one I'm looking for. Anyways, I'm on my 4th cup of coffee. It's been a long day so far. So, what I want to talk about is the food shortage has basically hit the mainstream, folks. Now, what do you think is going to happen? I'm wondering if the rest of the world is going to pay attention in regards to what's coming down the pipe. We, on my channel and various other channels like it, have been talking about the food situation for quite some time, and that good old-fashioned saying of stack it to the rafters. And there's reason that we've been saying this, because it's what's written on the wall. You can see how everything is transcending into chaos in regards comes to food. And I'm not going to reiterate. I mean, I could reiterate, the thing about the whole fuel and fertilizer and supply chain and stuff like that. But I think I've hit you guys with that many, many times. But now we have Corn Pop, the current administration, saying that there's going to be a food shortage. Now, some folks are saying, well, it was taken out of context. Maybe he's speaking specifically of other countries outside of the U.S. I personally don't think so. And I think it's going to get nasty, way nasty, before it gets any better. So hopefully you folks out there who are watching this or come across this video, please be prepared. Your food, your water, your medicines, all those things like that we discuss on these channels all the time. So we'll do like we normally do. I'm going to throw up the article that I'm looking for here, and I'll have the clip as well. First, let me see here. Maybe we can go into the clip. And I know you guys don't like seeing the gentleman, but we'll throw up the clip first, and then we'll dive into the article. So let me throw it up here on the screen, and let's
Nothing more to report. With regard to food shortage, yes, we did talk about food shortages. And it's going to be real. The price of these sanctions is not just imposed upon Russia. It's imposed upon an awful lot of countries as well, including European countries and our country as well.
So how many of you folks think that the general public will actually pay attention to this? Since we've been preaching it, and a lot of other people have been preaching it, economists, farmers, and the list goes on. How many other folks do these people need to be told that something is coming down the pipe, something very, very detrimental to people's lives, outside of inflation and everything else that's out there? Man, this coffee is really good right now. Anyways, let's throw up this article real quick, here. This was dated March 24th, a couple days ago. Anyways, it says President Corn Pop said that the world will experience food shortages as a result of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, and production increases were a subject of discussions at the Group of 7 meeting on Thursday. It's going to be real, Corn Pop said at a news conference in Brussels. The price of the sanctions is not just imposed upon Russia, it's imposed upon an awful lot of countries as well, including European countries and our country as well. Ukraine and Russia are both major producers of wheat, and in particular, Kiev's government has already warned the country's planting and harvest have been severely disrupted by the war. So, as you see here in this article that was written by Josh Wingrove, basically states that it's going to affect everyone, the globe, across the entire planet. Folks are going to be dealing with this. And I'm assuming what some countries are going to do, some countries are going to start hoarding, mass buying, which is going to, of course, exacerbate the situation, as well as anybody who comes across this and actually takes it seriously in regards to going out and buying some extra food. Now, how far will it go? Will it make things a lot worse for people trying to, prep food? Is the general public going to start hoarding food? Is the general public going to start mass purchasing food? Who knows? A lot of people are getting their income tax statements, and they might see this as an opportunity to go buy mass quantities of food. But hopefully you that are watching this channel have been doing this for quite some time, and all you are doing is shoring up your preps. Anyways, what else do we want to get into? It's for me, that is one of the most things that are truly important. You know what I mean? And I just don't know how to keep on reiterating that aspect. Is you don't want your family to starve, folks. And it's not about fear. It's not about promoting fear. It's about getting people prepared for what's to come or what may come. That being said, I want to touch on something in regards to, I did a video, was it Wednesday, about, 25 things that preppers forget or don't pack in their bug out bags, which basically is to draw attention to having a bug out bag, even if you are planning on bugging in. And the reason for this is because you never know what may happen. Hence the situation in Colorado. It's, I think, more than 20,000 people. I think, let me see, where do I got it at? I have a little blurb here I can throw up on the screen. It says, this one says 19,000 people flee as wildfire rages near Boulder. This was on Sunday around noontime. So relatively thing, but I just saw another one that said about 20,000 people. This one goes in to say, it says at least 19,000 people were evacuated on Saturday evening due to fast-moving wildfire near Boulder, Colorado, according to Fox News. Evacuation areas include 19,000 people, 8,000 homes, the Boulder Office of Emergency Management tweeted. Now, just to kind of send that home with you folks, where do I have it at? Let me see. Check out this line of people taking off from Boulder. These are lines and lines of vehicles here trying to escape the flames that have been either asked to evacuate or other folks being made to evacuate because of the situation is coming near their homes, which they may be losing everything. So prayers to those folks out there that might be in the line of this fire. But I wanted to show you the lines there in Boulder and whatnot and surrounding areas where the fire is affecting. It's crazy. So imagine you having to leave your home, and your home might be in the line of a wildfire, which basically, if the wildfire reaches your home, it might wipe out everything that you own, including the house that you live in and everything on the property. Being if you have animals, being if you have, stores and stockpiles of food. So having with my key point from this is having a bug out bag with things in it that makes sense to you depending on where you live, especially some of those things that I touched on in that video. So if you haven't watched it, please check it out. It could give you or spark some ideas in your head that might save you from a situation without having something that you may need. Also, what I also wanted to touch on is having other locations where you store stuff on it. You don't want to keep your preps or eggs in one basket, because if that happens and you lose your home and you can only pack so much in your vehicle, how much money are you going to lose outside of the home and everything else on the property? So if you can, have something off-site, have something at your parents' house or grandparents' house or a friend's house that you can trust. Or if you don't trust anybody, maybe a storage facility that you can afford and manage that into your budget, or something of a sort, folks. Something of a sort. Excuse me. I just wanted to, this gives me a reason to reiterate why we always say you need to have some sort of bug out bag readily accessible, not stored away somewhere, packed away where it takes an hour to get to because you have it stuffed in an attic somewhere. Something that is readily accessible, and that's just from my perspective and my opinion on what folks out there where they should have their bag. Because and I can go into a long story. We're on the Sunday Shift Report, so I'm not going to go into it. But using your bag, knowing what's in there. Sometimes even cycling things out as things progress. You might have some things in there that might need to be replaced. A friend of mine brought me his bug out bag and said, "Hey, can you analyze my bag for me?" He tore it all up, and some of the stuff was in there from like 7-8 years ago, and it's literally falling apart. And I said, "This is bad. You need to replace this, and that." And there's some new things that you can use that will actually lighten up your load, and the list goes on. Anyways, I don't want to go too far down that because I'll just get talking about bug out bags for an hour here, and we're not trying to do that. Also, one thing I want to do is here, when I was on with Constantine, we talked about propaganda, being it Russian propaganda, American propaganda, wherever propaganda, then the media itself, the mainstream media, what they want the average citizens in their country that watch their networks to be consumed with. And of course, you guys know what here in the United States, where we're being consumed with, is the whole situation over in Ukraine. And I don't take it lightly, folks. Again, I always tell people the thought of people dying, no matter who it is it's heartbreaking, to say the least. Okay, so I don't want you to think that I take things lightly, and I don't care about certain things because I care about humans. I care about people. I have a love for my kind, or the humankind, be it whoever you are. Sometimes, if you've seen it in history, some of your worst enemies have become people's best friends. Hopefully that makes sense to you folks out there. Anyways, I want to bring up a British poll, a little article that talked about what are the British people concerned about right now, because I've showed you it sometimes when I look at Google Trends or some other facts here in the United States. What are U.S. citizens concerned about? I wanted to bring this poll up what British citizens are concerned about. And it's a little bit eye-opening for me, to glad that there's some folks out there are concerned about what is going around them. Maybe folks are waking up. So let me throw this up here. And it says, most Brits expect problems paying heating and energy bills. A new poll claims that less than a third of Britons see the Ukraine crisis as a major concern. So a lot of Brits are not focusing on that situation out there. Now, I focus on things like that because I want to be informed to kind of see what may be transpiring. Like I said, Ukraine and Russia, they do produce a lot of the world's food, fuel, and the list goes on. Anyways, it says more than 67% of UK residents expect problems paying bills for heating and electricity, according to the latest poll carried out by Techni, a London-based market and data research company. The survey, reported by the Sunday Express on Saturday, shows that the cost of living is the top concern for 58% of British citizens. More than 80%, or 1,642 surveyed individuals, said they are going to avoid large purchases, while 50% say they are planning to decrease spending on leisure activities. Some 37% said they will try to save on clothes. Meanwhile, only 31% of the respondents cited Ukraine as a key reason for concern. Nearly a third of those surveyed said that the crisis in the Eastern European country and Western anti-Russian sanctions will push back the day they can retire. So basically, they're saying what's happening over there and what's happening with the sanctions that the U.S. is putting on Russia is pushing back their date that they can retire. They're going to have to work longer to save the amount of money they expected to need to retire comfortably. And that should be alarm for concern for most citizens here in the United States, instead of being consumed with sports games and hockey. And I get it's a great pastime and people need an outlet. So if that works for you, fine. But it seems like the majority of Americans, and I've looked and looked and looked, and it's always, right now it's trending, is the Oscars. Who really gives a rat's what about the Oscars? I don't care. I don't care who gets an award. And of course they're trying to loop in the propaganda with that as well. I think what's his name said he'll burn his Oscar thing if he gets one, or maybe he's getting one. I don't know. Maybe they know in advance. Maybe it's all rigged for all I know. Whoever pays the most amount of money gets an Oscar kind of thing. I don't know. I'm not trying to slam those folks, but it is what it is, the way I look at it. But all the money being spent there and stuff like that, and then we have homeless people, right down the street, that are starving, and homeless vets, and I don't know. I just think people's priorities are not where they need to be. They're just misappropriated, per se. Anyways, he said if Zelensky can't speak over at the Oscars, he's going to burn his or whatever. And to me, I'm like, who cares? Who cares? Waste of reading that 2 seconds that I spent looking at skimming that article. All right, so and we're going to talk about a few other things in regards to that, but I want to throw up another article here because the typical American this year is probably going to spend almost $3,000 more than they spent last year on living. And being with inflation what it is, you are not getting a raise. If you did get a raise, it's not going to cover the cost of inflation unless you're getting what, a 10% increase. I've been a district manager, I've been a retail manager, I've been a business owner. I've never seen a raise come across the board that's like that high. Now I'm assuming it happens, but to substantiate for inflation, I just don't see the average citizen, be it the poor, the middle class, getting raises that's going to push them over that and make them live comfortably without getting a hit with what's going on in the world today. Anyways, let me throw up this article real quick. As you guys can see here, it says American consumers are already struggling with the highest inflation in 4 decades, 40 years, folks. A phenomenon that is eating into buying power and eroding wages. But more economic pain may be in store. With one analyst estimating that the recent surge in gas prices following Russia's invasion of Ukraine, they always want to throw that in the article, could add up to $2,000 in annual cost to the typical household budget. And they're talking about fuel costs and whatnot like that. They're not even touching on energy costs when it comes to your electric bill or maybe your natural gas bill and whatnot. Anyways, I digress. The average cost for a gallon of regular gasoline has surpassed $4 per gallon for the first time since 2008. Many consumers have seen prices at the gas pump rise swiftly, with the price of regular gas jumping 41 cents during the first full week of Russia's war in Ukraine, according to AAA. And again, like I said, they're trying to send it home. They're trying to let you know it's all the Russian war in Ukraine. They just want to pound that into the American citizens that that's the reason, not because of who we have in power in the White House. It's all that person's fault. It's all that situation's fault. And don't get me wrong, that plays a role in this. But we all know for the last year or so, or even longer at this point, that we've seen gas prices steadily climbing. We've seen inflation steadily climbing, and everything else culminating to what it is now. And it's just another component. The Russia-Ukraine situation, that war that's transpiring over there, is just adding another piece to this situation. Or as I like to say, exacerbate the situation. Soon someone's going to say, you say that word too much. Oh, well. Anyways, it says that will likely cost a typical household an additional $2,000 per year in gasoline costs, according to Yardeni Research in a Monday research note. That comes on top of $1,000 in extra costs at the grocery store due to inflation, which means a typical household will have $3,000 less this year to spend on other items. Yardeni said. I probably said his name wrong. You guys have seen bacon, produce, milk, everything has gone up at the store. It's insane to say the least in the prices. So you have inflation going up, food costs going up, fuel going up. All that is going to affect the bottom line of your finances, your budget, the money that you got coming in. No matter how you look at it, poor, middle class, the rich can probably, the rich can sustain a little bit better than we can because that's what they do and they're part of that class of elites. But anyways, it's just every time I turn around, things just don't ever seem like they're going to get a little bit better. Can we get a breather, folks? Can we get a breather some point? Another. A lot of people are expecting that the primaries that are coming up in November, there's going to be a breather there. And we're going to take the House and the Senate, and we're going to stop Corn Pop from doing and passing some of these executive orders and these laws and legislations and build back this and all this other crap, and they're going to solve that issue. But no matter how we look at it, politicians are politicians. I just read here in a small article. I don't have the article in front of me, but Georgia is planning on giving a $500 stimulus, or trying to pass. And we know how the Georgia governor is. He's trying to pass a $500 stimulus check to help people with gas. And I'm thinking $500. So if it costs the average citizen roughly anywhere from $40 to $80, depending on what they drive, it might help some of the people that are really in need, but the taxpayers are still paying for that. It's not like they're just getting, it's not like it's just free, free money, you know what I mean? It has to come from somewhere. And they say it's, coming from a surplus in their budget. And I thought to myself, yeah, well, that surplus in your budget is the American tax dollars or state tax dollars. I don't know if Georgia does state taxes or not. I don't live there, so I don't know. Anyways, where do I want to move on from here? Let's jump over to the whole pipeline, because this may affect here in the U.S. 100% if this. And it's funny because Gretchen Whitmer she started pushing against this a while back in regards to the pipeline, trying to say it's going to be what do they call it? Disastrous for the wildlife and whatnot if something happens to it because of the age of the pipeline. But let me throw it up real quick. Anyways, it says shutting down Canadian pipeline would cost U.S. consumers $23.7 billion more in fuel costs. Report. I don't know why I always say that. I guess I read it word for word most of the time. It says, anyways, decision on pipeline upgrade with concrete line tunnel pending in courts. So they're fighting this whole situation, trying to upgrade this pipeline. And it's the Enbridge pipeline. Some of you folks might be familiar, because I know a lot of people know about the Keystone and the other ones on Keystone XL. This was from the Enbridge. I think this one's, about 70 years old. So it says, recently published analysis by a consumer advocacy nonprofit maintains that shutting down a 4.5-mile section of nearly a 70-year-old pipeline that spans the Great Lakes from Wisconsin to Ontario would impose $23.7 billion in higher fuel costs for families and businesses in Indiana, Michigan, Ohio, and Pennsylvania. So imagine that. That's just going to be a more of an incurred cost on you, the citizen, because, like I said, most of the money comes from your taxes and all the other stuff like that: sales tax, income tax, federal tax, all that crap like that. Maybe they'll just print it. Maybe they'll ask the Federal Reserve, "Hey, can you just print us, $25 billion or whatever?" Anyways, I don't want to go on a rant on that whole situation. It's just crazy stuff. But yeah, something to pay attention to, folks, depending on what they do with that. And like I said, if you're living in Michigan, Whitmer is all over it, and we know how Whitmer votes on things and what she likes to attack. I'm surprised that she doesn't get ostracized, or whatever you want to call the proper term for that, like Trudeau is, because she is just. Anyways, it's funny. I'm trying to think of what I want to go into next, because we have some things here. And I noticed some things don't make mainstream news in regards to, let's say, like certain things that Zelensky says in regards to his feelings in regards to NATO and the West. So I kind of want to bring this up before I get into the whole Trudeau and thing, and also want to play a clip of Putin's gaffe, my gaffe now, right? But Corn Pop's gaffe. Anyways, let me bring this real quick article up. It's from the Daily Mail. And they're quoting Zelensky after Corn Pop and some of the folks spoke over there in Brussels. This is what he said. It says, "Is NATO being run by Russia? Angry President Zelensky calls on the West to have 1% of the courage of his soldiers as he begs for more tanks, planes, missiles, and accuses NATO nations of being intimidated by Moscow." Zelensky urged Western nations to hand over military hardware that was gathering dust in stockpiles. Zelensky said the Ukraine needs 1% of NATO's aircraft, 1% of its tanks to help in defense for the Ukrainian people. Zelensky accused the West of holding back on supplies because they were frightened of Russia and suggested Moscow is in charge of NATO. I haven't seen that on the news. I had to read it to hear about it. I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you guys think when it comes to statements like that? Basically stating that NATO and the U.S. lack the courage to do anything about Putin. And I've heard different stances on this, and I'm not going to get too deep into it because I'll just ramble on for about an hour in regards to why, is World War III imminent? And you guys have heard of the term Freudian slip, right? When someone's thinking something or they know something and they kind of like say something to accidentally say it. And I think Corn Pop has a big issue in doing that. I don't know if you saw him when he was speaking to the troops. He slipped up and basically made a statement saying that, the troops were going to go into Ukraine or something to that extent. I don't know the specifics because I couldn't find that little clip. But anyways, he made that gaffe. And then he made a follow-up gaffe. And then I'm going to show you what the Russians are saying about this, okay? So let me play this real quick. There it goes.
For God's sake, this man cannot remain in power. God bless you all.
So as you see in that little quick article, because it was like a 1.5-minute article, and so I had to trim it down a little bit, or video. I wanted to cut that up a little bit. Anyways, he says a regime change, Putin needs to be removed, kind of thing like that. And if you saw Senator Lindsey Graham and his statement on that, and how the Democrats made statements, and it's funny, after Corn Pop made this statement, the White House, it took about 45 minutes for them to walk it back. And then this morning, of course, when they're doing their little thing, said, well, he didn't really mean that. It was taken out of context, and all that jazz, right? So anyways, I'm going to bring up this. I don't know if you guys ever heard of a hybrid war. We've talked about all the different types of wars that people see, cyber war, kinetic war, and the list goes on. But this is coming out of what Russia and the Kremlin have declared that the U.S. is doing, and they're calling it a hybrid war. So let's get into this article real quick, and let me take a sip of coffee real fast as well. I guess I couldn't be on a whatever they call it, one of those news channels, because I would be drinking coffee the entire time. I have to be more on a talk show kind of format. Anyways, U.S. and allies have declared hybrid total war on Russia. This is stated by the Kremlin. This was updated yesterday or the day before. It says the United States and its Western allies have declared a hybrid total war against Russia following its invasion of Ukraine, said Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov on Friday. Today, a real hybrid war, a total war, has been declared against us. This term, which was used by the Nazi Germany, is now used by many European politicians when they explain what they want to do to the Russian Federation. Lavrov said in a, and I could be pronouncing his name wrong, so don't criticize me for it. I'm not great with names. According to state-run media, and their goals are not hidden: to destroy, to break, to strangle the Russian economy and Russia as a whole. The desire by the West to maintain its dominance in international affairs, to subjugate everything and everyone and return to unipolar the world. These are, of course, illusions, Lavrov said, remarked, adding, in fact, we are witnessing the culmination of the policy of containment of Russia, which the West has pursued for quite some time, or a long time. So that being said, the Russians and the Kremlin and the Russian Foreign Minister of Defense and all those other folks out there are stating that we are at war to a certain extent. Not full out, I don't know. And I was listening to a thing, and let me finish this here, and I'll get into that. But because of the sanctions, and because of what Corn Pop said, that basically he said that Putin needs to be removed. So it's an aggressive behavior from someone that's in power, or power of a country, or the leader of the free nation, as the free world, as they call it. And funny enough, like I said, before I get into the French president and what he's trying to distance himself from the situation, as well as others, I was listening to Patriot XM radio the other day. I think it might have been Stacy on the right. She had a guest on who knows who I guess who understands Putin's mind and the way it works, and written books and all the stuff like that. And she said, when it comes to the nuclear threat, the U.S. doesn't have to worry about it as much at this point, this current point, right now at this second. But she says that the Ukrainians and folks in that area they're still at high alert. They have a higher risk of Putin getting to a certain point where he may go that direction. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but he may go that direction. As you heard, Corn Pop also stated, and NATO, I think, stated that if they use any type of chemical weapons, that we would get involved at that point. Which made me think, if someone wanted to it's harder to create a false flag event with a nuclear weapon, right? Because they're more controlled. It takes there's more to, detonating a nuclear bomb of any sort. But when it comes to a biological weapon, as we've seen over the past year or so, some things can be put out there and no one knows who did it. And then there's a blame put on somebody else. We've seen the blame game from China blaming the U.S. blaming China, this person blaming that person. I even saw a part where China was blaming India. I don't know. There's all kinds of blame game, right? When it comes to chemical warfare or biological warfare is what I'm kind of leaning to. But regardless, if someone wanted to, some sort of organization, be it ever who it is, could set off a situation where they use a chemical weapon and then it gets pushed onto the Russians. And then here we are, World War III, and, the floodgates are open. Because to me, a situation like that is almost, this once NATO and the rest of the world is drawn into this conflict, if it happens, it's going to be very, very, very bad situation, to say the least. I'm trying to think of my words before I say them. So anyways, and then if it ever goes nuclear, I just don't see how you can come back from that. You know what I mean? That's almost like a world-ending event, because once they start flying, who can rein it in? What country can rein it in? Who has the power to rein it in and say, okay, there's been enough destruction, no more. Once the missiles start flying. Anyways, that's just my opinion. That's just the way I look at things, folks. And I want to talk about Saudi Arabia real quick, but let's go into the French president real fast. Let me throw up this article right here. And as you can see, it says Macron. I don't know if that's, I want to say macaroon, but that's just me. I'm assuming his name is Macron. Distanced himself from Corn Pop's comment about Putin. It says the latest Russia-Ukraine crisis dated March 27th. I don't know why am I reading that. It says click here for updates. We're not trying to click. We're trying to read. It says, anyways, Macron distanced himself from Corn Pop's comment about Putin. French President Emmanuel Macron, maybe it's Macron, I don't know, has distanced himself from U.S. President Joe Biden's comment that Vladimir Putin cannot remain in power. He is urging efforts to de-escalate tensions. Macron, who has spoken several times to the Russian president and so far unsuccessful peacemaking efforts, is due to speak again with Putin on Sunday or Monday. We should be factual and do everything so that the situation doesn't get out of control. Macron said Sunday on France 3 television when asked about Corn Pop's remarks. I wouldn't use those terms, he stated, because I continue to speak to President Putin because what we want to do collectively is that we want to stop the war Russia has launched in Ukraine without waging war and without escalation. Because everybody knows if this escalates any further than what it is, if any nation, any NATO nation, or any the U.S. or any NATO nation ally, anybody associated with NATO gets involved in this whole situation, it's going to be nasty. No matter how we look at it, no matter like, oh well, we can take them on, we can do this. It's not just that, folks. You have to look at the bigger picture. Who else would be involved? If you get into a world war, the line will be drawn. Certain countries are going to be positioned to align with these folks versus other folks. So speaking of that, you guys probably saw that Saudi Arabia had a missile attack the other day. It kind of touched news for a minute and then it kind of disappeared. But I want to show you what Qatar, which is one of the places that we get a lot of our oil from, including Saudi Arabia and the UAE and all those folks out there. But let me show you something what they're talking about over there, because we don't really see some of this stuff here, stateside. But they put it on their news media, and then it kind of leaks out over here to the West. Anyways, it says the West accused of double standards on Ukraine. Qatar and Saudi Arabia have shamed the West for paying more attention to the war in Ukraine than to events in the Middle East. The U.S. major non-NATO ally Qatar, along with Saudi Arabia, have shamed the West for paying disproportionately more attention to Ukraine than conflicts in the nations across the Middle East. The humanitarian suffering that we've seen in Ukraine has been the suffering of a lot of countries in this region for years, and nothing happened. Qatari Foreign Minister, and I'm probably going to butcher his name, Sheikh Mohammed bin Al, I can't even say his name, long ass name. Anyway, he said during the roundtable talks, an annual Doha forum on Saturday, he reminded delegates of the brutality against the Syrian people, or against the Palestinians, or against the Libyans, or against the Iraqis, or against the Afghanistans, and said that, in his view, we have never seen a global response to address those sufferings. So if you've seen lately, the Saudis are working with China in regards to accepting the yuan, which we talked about a while back, which is going to affect the dollar, of course. We've seen the Saudis and other oil-producing countries not take Corn Pop's phone calls. As you can see, tensions are starting to heighten among certain countries, like the Middle East and countries surrounding it. Like I said, you probably saw North Korea. You know, we talked about that, launching those missiles. This whole Iran nuclear deal is going sideways because that just doesn't make any sense to me. It's just gone crazy to the point where China is doing some certain things, and they keep on saying that that the U.S. keeps on warning China, and without the U.S.'s money, that China can't succeed in what it's trying to do. But uh, China and Russia are kind of linked at the hip a bit, somewhat, because China gets a majority of I think is it majority they out of Russia, they get like 30% of their oil, of the oil that comes from Russia, they get 30% of that. Uh, so that's one point of it. So they have a little bit of a link in their economies and whatnot. I'm not an expert in it, so don't try to explain to me like, hey, Gray, you said this wrong. I understand. I do say things wrong. I make mistakes all the time. I'm human, and we all make mistakes. I don't mind if you politely say in the comment section, hey, this is what's what and this is what. Cool. And then I'm like, thank you for sharing with myself and the community to clarify some of the things that I may have said or may have misspoke. I hate when people take it out of context when I say something. Someone got irritated with me at one point saying that, I didn't say the war in Ukraine. I said conflict. And they were all, butthurt about it. And I'm like, look, man, conflict, invasion, war, a lot. You get the gist of it. That's the key point when I'm trying to hit home here, is that you get the gist of it, regardless of what I call it. An incursion, or the list goes on. Relatively similar words, but I guess I just shouldn't say war, because that's what they wanted to hear. I always want to invite people like, well, you can come on the channel, we can have a conversation. But they rarely ever do that. They just kind of disappear and never leave a comment again. But it is what it is. Anyways, last but not least, I want to show this video clip. And thank you, Harvey, for also bringing it to my attention, because it is pretty funny. I want you guys to listen to this video clip of Trudeau being ripped on the world stage, because he deserves it. Talk about dictator. He is a two-faced, backstabbing man. And what's great of having the First Amendment is having the capability to say something against some of these people out there, like Whitmer and Pelosi and Corn Pop and all these other people out there. But the Canadians have been going through a lot lately. And matter of fact, I read somewhere one of the truckers, the Freedom Convoy up there, he might be getting sentenced to several years in prison. I wish I had that article. And some of you guys may already know about that. You can drop that down in the links or the comments or wherever you're at on this thing. Anyways, let's listen to this real quick. I want to show you this quick clip. I think her name is Christine Anderson. I'm trying to see if I have it. Yeah, Christine Anderson. She's a German member of the EU Parliament. And she literally rips Trudeau up.
Prime Minister of Canada to address this House according to Article 144, an article which was specifically designed to debate violations of human rights, democracy, and the rule of law, which is clearly the case with Mr. Trudeau. Then again, a prime minister who openly admires the Chinese basic dictatorship, who tramples on fundamental rights by persecuting and criminalizing his own citizens as terrorists just because they dared to stand up to his perverted concept of democracy, should not be allowed to speak in this House at all. Mr. Trudeau,
Anyways,
you are a disgrace for any democracy. Please spare us your presence. Thank you.
Disgrace he is, and what he's done to his people, and how barbaric he has treated the people, and doing the things that he's done to his Canadian citizens. And the thing is I think someone said, I was reading somewhere, because I was like, well, when does he get voted out? And someone said it's not till the year 2025. Don't quote me on that. I don't know if there's any Canadians out there that are watching this Sunday Shift Report in the premiere. Let me know if you guys know how long he's still in power for. I read somewhere he's in power till 2025, which is one of those years that you got to watch out for. But I don't want to get into it and take up too much of your time. We're almost at 40 minutes already of your time. Anyways, folks, hopefully, like I said, you got some value out of this. You got maybe some tidbits that you may not be aware of. If you can't hit that thumbs up button, it's always truly appreciated. We got a few videos planned for this week. I think my live streams, we're going to be doing topic-specific live streams. I don't think I have any guests lined up. I can't see the calendar from here. If not, I'll reiterate that. But there's some things we want to talk about, and we've kind of toned it down a little bit. You know, it's been last week was a busy week. I had the interview with Bjorn Bullhansen, which was an early live stream on Tuesday. We did a follow-up live stream as well. And then on Thursday night, we had a great live stream with Konstantin from Inside Russia. And, you know, it was a great guy and very heartfelt live stream. It was very, very intriguing to hear what it's like to live in Russia, the things he's going on, and the perspective of being a Russian citizen in Moscow and what life is like over there, and his viewpoints. So if you haven't seen any of those, check out the live streams, the last videos that I've did. Also check out the bug out bag. Get a chance to check out some of the content you may have missed over the last week. Anyways, I'll see you guys again here soon. God bless. Please stay safe out there. And other than that, I think that wraps it up. So you guys stay. I'll catch you guys on the rebound. This is GreyMan, and I'm out.